That's good.
Mesut Özil divides opinion among the fan base. Always has done, always will do. Also happened in Germany as well with the national team. But look, many of you guys know me already. I only deal with facts. And when you talk football, facts is stats. Statistically, that is the one defining factor of whether a player is pulling his weight or not. And this is what I think about Mesut Özil. Ozil's a player that you really need to build a team around to utilize his abilities. When you have a team with great movement, when we had Walcott, Sanchez, Giroud running the show, we had our highest goals total. That's really high production. What that goes to show you was the amount of movement and ability up front in the final third will get the best out of him. The more options you have, the better player that he will be. The less options you have, the less effective Ozil will be. So I give you an instance. At the beginning of last season, when we went on our unbeaten run of 22 games, which everybody kind of really forgets right now, Ozil had a really up and down start to the season, specifically because the manager didn't know what he was doing with strikers. He didn't. Aubameyang wasn't the most effective striker anchor man in the team. And after 3 games, we lost at City, we lost at Chelsea. After 3 games at the start of the season, Aubameyang got moved to the left, and Lacazette came in, and Lacazette proved to be a much more effective anchor man at holding the ball, running into space with his movement, using his body to shield defenders. That really worked well for us. Unfortunately, after a few months, the manager just changed everything. He changed the setup and he dropped Ozil. Now, Ozil normally has played around 35 games for Arsenal over the last 3 seasons before last year. And in fact, Ozil had 36 assists in the last 3 seasons before Emery became the manager. And what happened with Emery is, not only forget the defense, he didn't fix the defense, we all know that, and he's guilty. But what he did, the treatment of Mesut Özil, when people went out and said, yeah, you need to bench Ozil, you need to make a point. Well, you know what? He benched Ozil, he made a point, and our chances created were a 20-year low. Under Wenger, we'd average around 16.8 chances per game, and under Emery, we were averaging less than 12. So the inefficiency of the team without Ozil affected the team as a whole. It sent ripples through the whole team and destabilized us moving into the Christmas period, and that's where we really struggled. Ozil was on the bench, he was nowhere to be seen. The team just was not scoring enough goals, not creating enough chances. And in that respect, who do you blame? You can't blame Ozil. It's like the same things that was happening when we had issues with previous strikers before. If a coach is not getting on with a player and he benches him, and you're not on the field, you can't produce. So last season, Ozil started just over 20 games, as opposed to 35 over the last 3 years. So he weren't playing. He was benched for 3 or so months, more than 3 months. He was benched, wasn't being utilised. That's not on the player. People saying, oh, Ozil needs to pull his weight. Ozil is Ozil. He's going to give you exactly what he's going to give you, and that is playmaking ability, assist, chances created. Yeah? Let's move back to the last World Cup. The second player had 3.1 chances. Do you know who the most creative player was in the World Cup? By a mile, with 5.6 chances created per game. It was Mesut Özil. Germany didn't even get out of the group stage. What you can take out of that is, when a team is not playing well, that's on the team. when a player's not playing well, statistically, you have to look at the numbers. Because what I found out with Arsenal is, and this happened to the likes of Giroud and Theo Walcott in the past, is when the team's not playing well, the fans and the media are really good at creating a scapegoat. They really are. They're amazing at creating a scapegoat. And Mesut Özil is prime time scapegoat for Arsenal Football Club. Always has been, always will be. If something doesn't go right, instead of looking at the midfield, the coaching, the tactics, the defense, the goalkeeping errors. Remember, Aubameyang, who came in last season as one of the most clinical strikers in Europe. But the amount of chances he missed was more than he's ever missed in his whole career. And he missed some crazy sitters, some insane chances. But that didn't fall on him. Yes, a few people did bring up that subject, but overall, he scored 31 goals, so it was never really a critique of the player. It wasn't nothing bad in the mix of things. But the problem is when it comes down to the team not performing, instead of the media or the fans saying, you know what, we just didn't play well, the whole team let us down, and we have said that on a few times, what seems to be the play in the team is Mesut Özil let the team down. But how could he have done that when he sat for 3.5 months of the season? He had 2 assists last season, which is his worst in his career. Eventually, the team settled into the 2 strikers up front with him sitting behind, which he felt more comfortable with. But by that time, the coach had stepped in and really kind of killed the team. So what I mean by that is, at that point in time when we had settled on that formation, we were in 3rd place with a month to go of the season. And what Emery did in that last month, tactic-wise, was appalling. It was probably the worst run-in that I've seen in Arsenal for well over a decade. Remember, you know, those years where we were chasing Spurs for the top 4th position, and, you know, at Christmas, Spurs was 9 points ahead of Arsenal, and by the time the season ended, Arsenal had overtaken them to take 4th place. All those strong run-ins we had under Wenger, what we saw under Emery was a complete capitulation of the Crystal Palace game when you rested all those, you know, bona fide starters and just put in a League Cup team. It was laughable. But could you imagine the Palace players sitting in that dressing room looking at the team sheet, laughing their heads off? At the end of the day, my decision about Ozil is this. You play the man in a formation that gets the most out of him, and then you let him work his wonders. And the players around him have to pull their weight too. They've got to create spaces for themselves. They've got to have fantastic movement, and they've got to play their part. Otherwise, Ozil can't shine. And that's just not on the team and the strikers as a whole. Aubameyang and Lacazette as well. Against Valencia, they were astonishing. They were outstanding. Against Chelsea, they were abysmal. You know, all the running and closing down and effort that we saw them do against Napoli and Valencia, that was just non-existent against Chelsea. So sometimes, guys, you've got to share the blame. And that's the problem where we are with Ozil. Everyone seems to just be poking fingers at him. And let's be fair now. We're talking about getting rid of Ozil. Who's going to take those wages? You might as well come up with the understanding that we're gonna be stuck with him. And if we're going to be stuck with him, you have to play into your strengths. And this is a guy who's delivered 36 assists over the last 3 seasons before the last one that was gone. This is a guy who had 18 assists and nearly broke Thierry Henry's record in the Premiership. That's what he can do for you. This is a guy who led all chances created in the World Cup. That's every top player in the world. Ozil created more chances than all of them. So my end verdict on Ozil is a world-class player. For the others who can see the clarity and see what he brings to a team and see what his value is on the field, they will understand. And that's where I'm going to leave it with Mesut Ozil. Let me know what you guys think, and like and subscribe to this channel. I appreciate all the love and support, guys. Peace out.